Hello, hello! Perfidious Pete here, back to take up the mantle of crazy great-great-uncle Walter and see how many gallons of pea soup I can choke down before my stomach bursts like the fat guy from Seven in what remains of Edith Finch. You know, Uncle Walter, for someone with all of these apocalypse books who was literally counting the days to the onset of the end of everything, you, great Uncle Walter, didn't really actually prepare very well. I mean, let's check this out. Like, your soup to water ratio here, it's better than 2 to 1, man. 2 to 1. And while I do wholeheartedly support your vast supply of pork chunkies, I'm still baffled how you plan to boil all 300 pounds of coffee you've got stockpiled down here with only 45 gallons of water. It just doesn't make any sense. And that's not even to mention the 220 pounds of rice that you've got stockpiled over here, or what the hell it is that you plan to pour on your Sweetie Crisps. Why even buy cereal? There is no milk in here. And you'd be like, Pete, it could be powdered milk. Okay, fine. Where is it? Huh? I don't see any powdered milk down here. Just gallons upon gallons of pea soup and more Concord grape jelly than any one human should consume in a lifetime. Your apocalypse prep list here, great-great-uncle Walter, it looks like an article from one of Dr. Oz's magazine about how you could lose 30 pounds in 30 days by eating nothing but pea soup. Which, by the way, no doubt would be largely subsidized by a cash payment from the pea soup concern. Big Soup would be lining Dr. Oz's pockets because I think by and large Dr. Oz is a self-serving scumbag who found out he could make way more money pimping shit for Oprah and big corporations than he ever could by practicing medicine. That medical degree, way more useful as a marketing tool, and Dr. Oz is fucking cashing in. Come get your neti pot. All right, Uncle Walter, let's find out how you died.
Goodbye, everyone. I can't believe I've been down here for 30 years.
Yeah, well, who's to blame for that?
On that first day, after the shake...
The rumble pack is... Oh, God. The controller, I really wish there was a way to turn off controller support. It's like my one complaint about Edith Finch. Okay, let's... Yep, 1968 here. Can I do anything other than open this can of peaches, though? Also, I really feel remiss about the fact that this is a can of peaches. We should really be eating pea soup here. Have you seen the stockpiles of soup? We gotta get rid of some of that shit, man. It's gonna go bad.
But after a few days, I settled into a routine.
Of steadily eating can upon can of pea soup. Pea soup is what kept my mental acuities in one piece. Wait, in 1968, wouldn't Walter have been like 12?
But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything.
Including a steady diet of peaches and peas. Okay, so Uncle Walter's story is just going to be us repeatedly opening cans?
Even a monster on the other side of the door starts to feel normal.
There's a monster on the other side of the door, Uncle Walter?
Almost friendly.
Well, you know, if you locked me in a hole, Walt, and fed me nothing but gallon upon gallon upon gallon of pea soup in a can, I think I too would beg for death. I really do.
Stop.
Okay, it's 2005, so this is going to be the day Uncle Walter died. Well, let's grab some more peaches then.
Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting.
Or maybe your psychoses were drowned in an ocean of soup. You ever consider that? Just... Good God, Uncle Walter, how did you not weigh 8,000 pounds eating a fucking gallon of peaches every day? Oh.
I'm done waiting.
Yeah, let's go outside and see if the monster's still there.
Well, I still can.
You have to leave because you're out of peaches? I have to... There's a trapdoor over here. Yeah, we'll check that out in a minute. Uncle Walter cannot turn on the overhead. I just want to make sure there were as many cans of pea soup when Uncle... We can't go past the desk? But I gotta check out my soup supplies, man! Come on! You can't leave a brother hanging. Soup is in the balance here. Delicious peas. Okay, well, I guess we got into railroad plot gonna railroad. All right, Uncle Walter, let's go see what's down the escape hatch. If there's more soup down here, I'm gonna be absolutely furious. That's all I gotta say. Uncle Walter had a secret subterranean library. They're tomato ketchup. Well, at least it ain't more grape jelly though, Uncle Walter. If Uncle Walter was only eating a gallon of peaches every day, what's all this other food for at all? Spiritual survival, the dark defense, malevolent monsters. You know, Uncle Walter, did you ever consider the fact that maybe you thought there was a monster lurking outside your little chamber here because you spent all your time reading about apocalypses and how to make model trains and the dark defenses and warding away spirits and echoes from afar and the Finch family curse? Do you ever think that maybe the real monster is you, Uncle Walter? Is that called 9 O's cereal? Why can't I zoom in? It's Hitler's cereal. 9! Would you like some 9 O's? 9!
No, it's out there somewhere.
Hey, don't steal my narrative here. I'm talking about this German cereal with the koala bear. A Nazi koala. Pimpin' cereal. Actually, those look like they say Alvin O's. Well, that's less cool. I liked it better when it was a German cereal. Would you like some 9 O's? 9! But they are good for you. 9! Well, there's the... Okay. Well, at least his ratios are better. The ratios of pork junkies to pea soup are 2 to 1. It's getting better down here. Oh, hey, an extra 45 gallons of water on top of another 40 pounds of rice. Seriously, though, Uncle Walter, what the hell were you putting on all this cereal? It's extra crispy Alvin O's. You know, do Alvin O's really need to be extra crispy? Couldn't we have just a regular amount of crisp in my Alvin O's? I like Alvin O's classic. They weren't quite as crispy, and the sogginess made them, you know, it was a little better. They had better texture. Good, sweet Christ, tasty bean. There's so much coffee down here, though, Walter. So much coffee, buddy. And this is, I think, I don't know, I can't zoom in at stuff. In this story mode, I'm not allowed to zoom and look at things.
Whatever killed Barbara?
You know, I'm pretty sure Barbara's boyfriend killed Barbara. And you're right, it's only been 30 years. That guy could easily be alive. And Molly? I think Molly killed herself by eating poisonous berries. So...
And Calvin.
Calvin definitely killed himself because he was drunk and his mom let him 11-year-old drunken ass climb on a swing set and fling himself into a gorge. There's no monster for that, unless you count alcoholism as a monster, and I think we can all agree it's pretty monstrous, but it's not the lurks in the shadowy bushes at night and devours you as you come out of your secret underground bunker kind of monster. Happy morning, Sweeting Crisps. They're just so great. The only thing great here is how greatly I want to know what exactly Walter is fucking putting on that cereal. I gotta know, man. I gotta know. I think we have to, based on the contents of Uncle Walter's larder, we just have to assume that what he's putting on all these various and sundry varieties of cereal is pea soup. Because this makes like almost 150 gallons of pea soup that we have seen. The rice ratio is coming up a little bit as well, and as always, pork chunkies, you can't get enough of those. His peanut butter and grape jelly quotient is... You know, it's still pretty heavily favored in the form of jelly. Peanut butter, I think, is vastly underrepresented. Good God, Walter, more fucking pea soup? The peanut butter feels like it's really vastly underrepresented, though, in Walter's, great-great-uncle Walter's PB&J recipe. I don't really think, like, it's the kind... Is this your garbage dump, Uncle Walter? This is where you throw your trash, huh? Just a literal open dump. It's just a hole filled with your own refuse, offal, and, I have to assume, feces and urine. The stench down here has got to be the only monster lurking in these tunnels. Good sweet Christ, Walter. No wonder you're trying to break on through to the other side here, Jim Morrison style. You just want a breath of fresh air.
Mistake. But I need to stop living the same day. Even if it kills me.
Well, it's definitely going to. Uncle Walter trips, causes a cave-in. I mean, all right. Wait, we're going to go back this way. This is where we busted out and slid in. All right, so Uncle Walter's going to get run over by a train then. Okay. Well. Hey, Uncle Walter. You know, if you wanted to come out of the monstrous hole you've been living in and go, like, lead a new life and see the beauty of the outdoors and escape living the same humdrum day over and over, isolated, solitary, and, let's face it, frankly, crazy as fuck in your hole, couldn't you have just taken the door? I mean, you didn't have to bust your way out into the old abandoned train tunnel where you're definitely going to get killed by a subway.
I want you to know, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, it's going to be a train, and it's going to turn you into a giant red splatter of a smear. But I still feel compelled to ask, Uncle Walter, what the fuck was wrong with the door? You had a door that led out of your bunker. You could have just walked outside upstairs and been like, hey, guys.
Appreciate all of it.
I'm thinking about
Especially the food.
taking my first few tentative steps into the overworld and starting out small rather than just running headlong out and flinging myself into the wide world. You know what? I'm going to approach this with like an acclimation therapy kind of way. I'm going to ease my way back into society. I'm just going to come up here and hang out, not in the bunker for a little while. Do you think it's maybe...
If I only have a year left.
How did you know you only had a year left? I mean, that's confusing. I don't know what... Was Uncle Walter sick or something? He's coming out of his hole. He doesn't want to spend his last remaining year. And so instead of, like, I don't know, just get hit by a train already. You know what, Uncle Walter? You confuse me.
For a month.
Oh, he actually... Okay.
A single week.
What about a single minute, Uncle Walter?
With one new day.
Well, how happy are you going to be with like one new couple of minutes? Yep, there we go. Turns out it wasn't the sun at all. It was the headlight on that runaway freight train that just turned you into a greasy red stain on the tracks. Blood on the tracks. The Walter Finch saga.
Walter died when I was 6. I can't believe my mom never told me he was down here.
Really, Edith? You can't believe that your mother never told you your crazy uncle lived in some kind of weird nuclear fallout bunker in the basement? I think maybe she was just trying to protect you from his crazy ass. Because you know if you told...
My mom was trying to protect me.
Yeah, she was exactly trying to protect you. If she had told you that crazy-ass Uncle Walter was just down in the basement, you just snuck down here to hang out with him. And honestly, you probably would have gotten a hideous staph infection from his open puddle of waste, urine, and discarded foodstuffs. She was trying to save you from getting MRSA. That's what she was doing, Edith. She did it for your own good. Really, you shouldn't be upbraiding your mom for what she's done. You should be thanking her. She did you a service. All right, come on, lift. Lift with the legs, Edie, not the back. Come, you don't need a spinal cord injury on top of whatever fate is destined to befall you as a Finch. Also, I'd like to point out, going down this hole really didn't work out that well for great Uncle Walter. Is it
She was afraid I'd end up like Walter.
infested with some kind of heredious, like, flesh-eating bacteria from living in your own offal? It sort of seems like
never told me
reasonable
about
fear.
Uncle under the house.
You want to finish that thought, Edie? It's going to leave me hanging, huh?
I can only imagine
there you
what
go.
else she was hiding.
More hideous secrets about the Finch family, this
I don't
disgusting
wanna make
refuse
the
pit?
same mistakes she made.
Here's a question, Edie. How do you feel about making the same mistakes Uncle Walter made, like crawling out of this hole and getting killed by an eastbound freight train? Are you cool with making that mistake? Because it kind of seems like the game is sort of encouraging me to follow in Uncle Walter's footsteps. This was, in fact, Uncle Walter's garbage dump. I can't imagine this has been here rotting for 12 years. It's an open landfill. And it's just been here rotting for the last 12 years. Probably, you know what? They probably didn't even bury Uncle Walter. Whatever remained of him after the train got done, turning him into a chunky red paste. Or rather, turning him into, like, strawberry jelly instead of his favorite grape jelly. They probably just chucked it in a hole, right? I mean, why go out of your way to bury a man who's already buried himself?
Bury something that's still alive.
Like, wait, are you saying the chunks of Uncle Walter were still alive when they threw him in that hole? Homeboy got hit by a freight train. That seems pretty unlikely,
Now
Edie.
that there's only one of us left. Or maybe 2.
Maybe 2. Wait, what's with the maybe too?
I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself. And found out what happened to everyone else.
Well, it's been a glorious trip so far. 3 of them were
Read the
just
stories themselves.
absolutely batshit crazy, and one of them had the worst mother. Well, actually, technically 2 of them had the worst mother of all time. I say one of them because I was only thinking about Calvin, but then I forgot about what Grandma Edie actually did to Calvin's brother Sam, my grandfather, after she let Calvin drunkenly splatter himself all over the rocks outside Finch Estate,
Maybe we believed
flinging
so
himself off a
much in
cliff.
family curse. We made it real.
Yeah, well, self-fulfilling prophecy, I suppose. Oh, fantastic. You built Walter's Memorial right next to the fucking train track, huh? Specifically, you built it so goddamn close to the train tracks that the train definitely is going to tear this apart the first time it goes past. Man, every time I think the Finches are just about as awful as a family can get, they show me up by doing something that's just a little more awful. Well, Uncle Walter, I'm very tempted to steal your hat, actually. Those engineer's caps, those things are badass and also difficult to find. So we're back outside the Finch estate. Is it gonna... Okay, I was gonna say it won't just let me walk off of a cliff Calvin style, will it? No, I'm not drunk enough for that. I'd have to have like 6 gallons of gin in me. Hey, we're back to the old foxglove, which a commenter was nice enough to point out to me. This is not Bluebell, these are foxgloves.
I don't know if I should even be writing this.
Well, probably not, Edith. I mean, you're definitely gonna die too. Because I can't help but notice when I look at your hands and clothing, Edith, this definitely does not match the clothing of the person who was reading your diary at the opening on the boat. That person very definitely had a cast on their right
Maybe
arm
it'd be better if all this just died with me.
and was wearing some different clothing. Edie's not just gonna like fling herself into the ocean, is she? Why is there a chair in the tree? There's a folding chair. Just chilling up there, hanging in a tree, huh? Also, how come there's so much more freaking house up there that we have not gotten
I
to
thought
explore?
You should know about your family.
Wait, my family? Is this my mother's journal that I'm reading then as Edith? No, because she talks about her mother and Edith is not. So is that actually a room then? I mean, there's definitely rooms up there, and there is another floor in the Finch house that we have not been to. The weird part that I thought had the Harry Potter Hogwarts kind of spire thing working was actually, I think, the dragon that killed my grandfather. And here's more chunks of said fallen dragon, I think. This is the sewer pipe that Molly crawled into?
And the history you're a part of.
Yep, this is definitely the sewer pipe that Molly crawled into. I love the fact that you said, and the history you're a part of, right there as we were about to go crawl into the death pipe, by the way. That's, yeah, fantastic. Also, are you really encouraging me to go crawl into the death pipe? I know where that pipe comes out. It comes out in Molly's toilet. You might say that Edith's life here is circling the drain at this point, but I don't know. I think going that literal with the metaphor is probably not the world's greatest idea. We can zoom back in on our vision again. Hey, can we get out to that dock? Can I swim out there? Nope. We cannot go in the water. Don't go in the water. What is this? The late 70s and we're a beach in small rural Cape Cod? This is like a Massachusetts vacation destination spot and they'll be like, don't go in the water. So we're definitely gonna get invisible walled all the shit here. Is that what's going on here? Mad invisible walls. I really wish Edie could like run here, maybe jog, sprint, rush, or otherwise increase her ambulatory efficiency somehow. A little bit, Edie. Yeah, we're definitely invisible walled all to hell. I kind of want to go walk out on the end of this busted dock. This seems like the way a Finch should truly go. Just wandering out when they know better, going out on the end of a...
I feel as lost as you probably do right now.
I don't really feel lost at all, Edie. I feel upset, I suppose. And that you're considering flinging yourself into the ocean and drowning yourself. I don't really think everything is that grim. I don't think it calls for that. Why does that come on when we walk near it? We can't... Oh, I thought we were supposed to go in this pipe, but we definitely can. I guess that pipe is reserved exclusively for psychotic, murderous little girls whose dreams consist of tearing fetuses from their mother's womb and devouring them and eating a ship full of humans. Most of the Finches are pretty horrible.
People in these stories believed them, for what that's worth.
Yeah, I mean, Molly was definitely a crazy-ass serial killer. She definitely believed her story. She believed it because it was the only way she could rationalize and justify her monstrousness to herself. She didn't just want to believe it, Edith. She needed to believe it. She had to believe it. Otherwise, she would have had to face the reality that she was a murderous, brutal, soulless killer, that there was nothing good or kind inside her, and that she was literally without any redeeming qualities. Nobody wants to face up to that about themselves. That's too harsh of a truth. She had to come up with a pleasant fiction to distract her from the reality of her own terribleness. So what does she come? She'd be like, oh, look, I'm an owl. It's okay that I tear the still beating fetuses from their mother's heart. Wait, that last metaphor. It's the still beating heart from a mother so that her babies can die in her womb. Yeah, that's more of a Molly kind of thing. Of course, I guess it wouldn't really matter whether their mother's heart was beating or not, because she ate those fetuses straight out of the womb. Straight from the womb. New rabbit fetus. Now with 100% more terror and suffering. I really wanted to go walk along that. Oh, wait, I didn't. I could have had an opportunity to walk along the dock here. This seems like the way a Finch should die, by the way. Going out on a rickety wooden dock, hanging out over the ocean where they very clearly have no business or sense being, and having it collapse so they can fall into early watery grave. Guess the only real problem with that is that this thing looks like it's about 4.5 feet of water, so unless we smashed our head on the rocks, we probably wouldn't drown. Not that a Finch couldn't find a way. If anybody could find a way to drown in a teaspoonful of water, a Finch is, they're the one. They could figure it out. I thought Uncle Walter's story would be a little more elaborate. Then broke out of my own prison Scott Stapp style and then got run over by a freight train.
And when you look at the house, it had that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness.
Yeah, I think madness is the operative word in that particular sense, Edie. Let's focus on the madness. Because everybody, you know, some of these people didn't necessarily invite their own destruction. There's a chance that maybe Barbara just got murdered by her boyfriend. But the crazy is in all of the Finches. I think we can see the one...
It seems possible.
Except for the turning into a cat, then a bird, then some kind of shark that flops down a mile of coast without having any kind of harm, and then a sea monster, and then crawling back up into our own toilet to transfer back into a little girl. That seems less possible than the remainder of it. A drunken 11-year-old killing himself on a swing set, that one seems pretty reasonable. Barbara getting murdered by her boyfriend for refusing to give up her good stuff, that also seems pretty possible. Crazy Uncle Walter refusing to deal with his agoraphobia and slowly dying in a basement also seems reasonably likely. The rest of it, though? Meh. Grandpa Sam joining the army because of his mother's, decade and a half of steady psychological torture. That also seems highly unlikely. Or rather, highly likely. Gary's potting mix. With Macromaxi. Ooh. It's extra plus fertilizer. Wait. Is it Gary's potting mix plus fertilizer? Or is it Gary's potting mix plus fertilizer? Not it also has fertilizer, but that it's plus fertilizer. Like it's extra good. Gary, I need punctuation to help me sort out the name of your product.
By death for so long, we've just gotten used to it.
So you're going to tell me a tale of this bicycle and how one particular Finch was riding it when they crossed the street and then got run over by a, I'm going to say streetcar or trolley. And this is the one relic that somehow survived remarkably undamaged because it's a magic bicycle.
Finishes building a cemetery before starting the house.
The kind who had one person die before the house was there. Because, you don't really want to let a body just lie out in the sun and rot while you finish building an entire house. They're going to be pretty ripe by the time you get done. Disease sets in. You got issues with flies and maggots.
To admit this, but
But, oh, the Finch.
Cemetery may be more uncomfortable than the human one.
No, you're right, Edie, or Edith, rather. It is incredibly difficult to believe this. Extraordinarily difficult. Except for, I think, the fact that all these are from Grandma Edie's
3
birds.
of the gerbils are mine, and 2 had been my fault.
Well, Edith, I thought perhaps you were the one innocent in this particular exchange, but it turns out maybe you were just, like a proto-Molly? Molly definitely has some dead gerbils in here, but she, I think, killed them herself as part of her experimental growth. So we got a couple... All right, let's see what do we got here. Dog, fish. Oh, Christopher died in 1947. I think he actually outlived Molly, didn't he? Nope, died in 1947 as well. Well, I guess when Molly got back to her room, she did eat her goldfish because her insatiable murderous hunger simply couldn't let another thing outlive her. Cat named Shadow, rabbit named Oliver, Shotzi, who was probably a dog. What else we got here? A frog whose stone has fallen over and thus has no name. Bailey, 1959 to 1972, so I'm going to guess Bailey was probably also a dog. Zerpy, Lurpy, Furpy, Chirpy, Burpy, Derpy, Derpy Jr., those are all Grandma's birds. Another cat, Charlie. Daisy, an animal of undetermined origin. Could be either cat, could be either dog. We found it! This is Schrodinger's cat! We didn't ever open the box, so we don't know if it was a live cat or a dead cat, or also whether it was a cat or whether it was a dog. Lucy was a dog, though. Schrodinger's Daisy. Well, I mean, Tucker, Coco, and Zoe are also... I mean, they're potentially mystery animals. Did Schrodinger put a family of cats or dogs in a box? I mean, that just seems extraordinarily cruel. For your thought experiment, you really only needed to murder one of those animals. These two, but we got a goldfish and a rabbit that died so soon they never even got named. I guess they died aborting. These are graves for the rabbit fetuses that never got a name because Molly ripped open a rabbit's stomach and ate them while they were still raw and wriggling and attached to their placenta.
Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery.
Yeah, because Sven was dead. Oh, wait. I mean, Odin would have been buried before Sven. Alright, so Molly. No insight into how she died. I'm going to guess died in her sleep? Yeah, Molly definitely died in her sleep. You're saying, Pete, how do you know Molly died in her sleep? Because that's how her parents chose to smother her to death. They knew she was a monster. They knew she had to die. They knew it was for the greater good. They smothered her in her sleep. Calvin, rocket shipped his ass off of a cliff because, you know, somebody let an 11-year-old drink 6 gallons of gin. Sven, how did you die, by the way, Sven? I don't think we ever got a clear picture of how Grandpa Sven died. Edie had a good long life. What do these letters spell, though? Like, this is a hideous nonsense gibberish. This is the language of the Necronomicon. It says, Hucknibidifidek, which I'm pretty sure if you say 3 times will summon some kind of elder abomination. I'm not going to risk it. I don't need to bump into the king in yellow, thank you. Is this a little diorama of a train tunnel? That's unbelievably inappropriate, Grandma Edie. I mean, seriously, that's just... No, Grandma Edie, no. This is the worst memorial of all time. Barbara got a star on the Walk of Fame. Okay, that's beautiful.
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away.
Grandpa Odin's monument was Edie's idea because Edie was creepy and weird and had some real compulsive behavioral issues. Okay, I mean, I can see that. Is he standing on the roof of a sinking house? He is standing on the roof of a sinking house.
Poking out of the water at low tide.
Oh, the house is still out there, huh? Well, that's real weird. This then would be Sven and Ingeborg watching their father go down with the ship. Well, Odin, say what you want. At least you were looking to a brighter future. Oh, wait a minute. I was giving you credit for looking forward to a brighter future as you went down, but that's definitely not true. You were looking forward to this future, which is anything but a bright one. Let's check out this telescope, though. Can we focus? Focus. Oh, here we go.
Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night.
Wouldn't this thing have been out here for nearly 100 years? I think after 100 years of being battered by the ravaging sea, there really wouldn't be anything left of this house. Definitely not as much as we were seeing here. I gotta say, no, not at all. This is a very weird thing for someone to have built, by the way, as well. Why did somebody build that telescope there? I'm confused. Everything...
Edie's side was always easier for me to understand.
Really? You found Edie's side easier to understand? Man, I'm starting to wonder about Edith.
The more I can see where my mom was coming from.
So, yeah, it really seems like your mother may have been the one sane Finch.
Her dad had been pretty strict.
Like the only one.
It wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better.
What happened to Gregory and Gus? We don't know what happened to Gregory and Gus. It is, in fact, a mystery. Gregory croaked at the ripe old age of 11, popular age for Finches, and it looks like Gus made it to... He didn't do much better. Made it to 13. Sam? Okay. Can we go back to the house and find out what happened to those guys? I mean, there are way more rooms in the house still.
Two of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us.
Sanjay Kumar. So this would have been our dad? Wait, if he was a Kumar, why were we Finches? Lewis Finch, Milton Finch. Milton's the kid who's drawn
We
everything.
never found Milton's body, so my mom insisted we were putting up a monument, not a tombstone.
So Milton was born in... You know, Milton maybe... Well, we don't know what happened to Milton. I suppose he could still be alive. Sanjay... 66 to... I think this was our dad. Lewis Finch. Why does he have a teapot? Is that a teapot? That's a crown. Why does he have a crown? I want to know how these people died. We gotta go... Alright, we gotta go find out. Actually, what we really have to do...
There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now.
Well,
Part
I
of
did...
me thinks this is what she wanted all along.
Really? She wanted...
Come back someday.
And live through this nightmare.
Find everything out for myself.
So your mom was also kind of a horrible, horrible person. See, every time we think some Finch has a redeeming quality, they find a way to fuck it up. So what is it? I guess we'll have to speculate on what's wrong with Edie, because I really think we got to wrap this episode up. If you enjoyed it, feel free to drop a like down in the comment section. Support really does mean a lot. And if you'd like to find out what sort of horrible lurking blackness lies within Edith Finch's soul, because, come on, let's face it, it's in there. It's in there. It's in there. Might consider subscribing as well. Post new episodes of What Remains of Edith Finch every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Right now, I'm going to go contemplate the blackness of my own soul. And you know what? Take solace in the fact that no matter how terrible a person I am, and I am terrible, I'm still better than all of the Finch family. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you again soon.